Mom's spaghetti. Vomit on his sweater already. Me and Nikki are going steady.
Aww.
Eminem is one of those guys that just, for the longest time, has been teabagging everybody. Like, he spent a large majority of his career just talking shit on people's name and pretty much daring people to have a problem about it.
Well, because he knows that, like, he's gonna win any verbal...
But it's not even rap battles.
He has, like, actual beef with people?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Dude, Eminem has talked shit on every president that's been in office since he's been rapping. Everybody from Bill Clinton all the way up to Trump. I don't think he's said anything about Biden yet because, like, you kind of have to do something for people to talk shit on your name. Michael Jackson, Prince, Britney Spears, all the boy band groups back in the day, Mariah Carey, Nick Cannon. I mean, there's just a list longer than I could go on about of people, including his mom. He has probably dunked on his mom more than anybody else. I mean, his first couple of albums, he just fucking eviscerated his mom. And Sunny V2, you know, the wonderful YouTuber who talks about drama and crazy shenanigans that have gone on, put out a video here recently. I think it was...
I didn't realize
2 weeks ago.
His video.
And it's called The Time Eminem Got Sued by His Own Mother.
I knew that had happened because he talked about it in one of his songs. Mm-hmm. I don't really know the details other than she was just a greedy person. I guess I'll find out.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. So, if you will, join us as we check out this video.
Eminem dissed his mum on a song so hard that she was able to successfully sue him. When did it happen, how did it happen, and what amount of money did she eventually get from him? Well, the lawsuit makes a lot more sense if you understand that Marshall Mathers and Debbie Mathers have always had a fragile relationship. When I was growing up, I hated my mother, mainly because we were constantly moving. Eminem recalls his childhood as a tormented time in which he was forced to attend 15 different schools, while his mum chased boyfriends from city to city, adding that his mother only loved him until he was 8 years old, and that by the time he was 15, she was demanding that he either help with bills or be thrown out of the house. With so much of Eminem's early music often discussing this harsh Detroit upbringing, it was inevitable that at some point he'd rap about he and his mother's poor relationship, doing so for the first time in 1999 after releasing the now incredibly popular song My Name Is, which included the lines, "99% of my life I was lied to. I just found out my mum does more dope than I do. I told her I'd grow up to be a famous rapper, make a record about doing drugs and name it after her, although when Eminem's mum would listen to this song following its release, she'd publicly defend herself by stating that his upbringing was the exact opposite to this. I'm looking at these and I'm going, what is this? I never worked a day in my life. We never had a house to live in. We lived on welfare. I mean, everything he was saying was like, I almost went into shock. I'm like, this is not true. Why are you doing this?
He was spoiled rotten. Anything he wanted, I made sure that I'd take my last dime and get it for him.
Neglectful.
No.
Pill popping.
No.
Welfare collecting.
No, he needs to quit, making attacks on me. You don't do this to your mom. And it's so hard.
In a different interview, when Eminem's mum was asked, all that stuff about you doing drugs and his rough childhood, is any of that true? She'd respond by stating, no, and that's what hurt me so much. I am a good Christian and prayer has kept me going. He was too spoiled. Anything he wanted, I would just buy it and I'd go without. I sheltered him too much and I think there's a little resentment from that. And to be fair to Debbie Mathers, there is evidence suggesting that Eminem didn't actually have a rough upbringing. Eminem's younger half-brother Todd Nelson stated in an interview that Marshall was always very resentful over not having a father figure in his life. Growing up, he felt like he missed out on a lot. But all this stuff about him being abused as a child is so far from the truth, it's just laughable. Debbie did everything she could for him when he was growing up. She bought him his first car, a Lincoln Continental, and ran around after him so he didn't have to take responsibility for anything. She's done the same thing with her youngest Nathan, and he's growing up to be an equally spoiled brat, with his sentiment also being shared by Eminem's grandma.
Debbie was so protective of this boy.
she never allowed him until he got in his teens to have a lot of friends.
Whether or not Eminem really had a traumatic youth was yet to be determined. However, on the 20th of September 1999, at a time during which Debbie Mathers was conveniently close to bankruptcy, she'd pick the first lawyer she found in the Yellow Pages named Fred Gibson and file a $10 million defamation lawsuit against Marshall Mathers, stating that his comments had caused various forms of emotional distress, including diminished self-esteem, humiliation, sleepless nights, harm to her credit rating, and even the loss of her mobile home.
When you can't go to the mall for being spit on and being called, you disgusting pig, it's sad because people are passing judgment by listening to Marshall's songs.
However, the filing of this lawsuit only led Eminem's mum to receive even more backlash. Going back to the interview with Eminem's half-brother, he'd state that after filing the lawsuit, Eminem's mum became the most hated woman in Detroit. Debbie can't go out anywhere in Detroit without being recognized, and normally it ends up with her being abused or attacked. She's had everything from eggs thrown at her to cigarette butts flicked at her. She got so fed up with people cursing or staring at her that she'll only do her shopping in the middle of the night. It's a terrible way to live and nobody deserves what she's been through. When Marshall himself learned of the lawsuit, he unsurprisingly called his mother in a fit of rage. However, in the public eye, Eminem was able to remain cool, calm and collected, stating that he simply expected the lawsuit. My mum is a lawsuit queen. All her life she has sued people. That's how she makes money. When I was 5, she had a job on the cash register at a store that sold chips and soda. Other than that, I don't remember her working a day in her life. While Eminem's lawyer would come forward stating that the lawsuit will only be dealt with through legal channels, Eminem seemed to have a different idea as he began to use the situation as fuel for new lyrics.
The lawsuit didn't stop him when he got hit with the lawsuit. It didn't stop him. He got worse.
On the 23rd of May 2000, whilst
Well.
Eminem was smack bang in the middle of the lawsuit, he'd released the Marshall Mathers LP on which he'd feature lines such as, "My mum's suing for $10 million. She must want $1 for every pill I've been stealing. Where you think I picked up the habit? All I had to do was go in her room and lift up her mattress," doubling down on the claims that had started the lawsuit. However, this is the point at which the story takes a bizarre, almost hilarious twist. As a result of Eminem continuing to rap about his mother in an unfavorable way, she'd respond by doing something that only a few have been dumb enough to attempt. Debbie Mathers dropped a diss track on Eminem.
With the release of the CD,
I didn't know
it was
that.
one of the ways for me to get my feelings out there to my son and the public.
The song titled
That's
Dear
literally
Marshall was
what he was
released on a
doing.
2-track EP called Setting the Record Straight.
This is called Set the Record Straight.
Can't he
with
sue her
IDS
then?
And Eminem's mom.
Doesn't help her, I'm
It should be
sure.
available in stores.
And featured lyrics such as, "We have a problem, Marshall. The past 2 years something really went wrong. I was so excited about your success, yet so let down by your betrayal. Will the real Marshall Mathers please stand up and take responsibility for his actions?"
It includes the telltale line, "Marshall, we have a problem." And to set the record straight on that lawsuit, Debbie hasn't dropped the suit, but as we said, she is working on a settlement.
With Eminem now having a fair bit
That's
of
so
pressure on him from the
embarrassing.
media, Debbie Mathers reduced the lawsuit amount from $10 million to $2 million with the goal of reaching a settlement. However, perhaps as a partial result of his mother's diss track, Eminem rejected the $2 million settlement request, instead stating that he'd rather pay his attorneys $100,000 just to make sure that she doesn't get a dime. Although, while Eminem wasn't ready to give up $2 million that easily, Debbie seemed to have theorized another method to earn this money, as shortly after having her $2 million settlement rejected, she'd announced that she was writing a tell-all book about her and Marshall's upbringing titled My Son Marshall, My Son Eminem. After seeing her book announcement as another cash grab based on his fame, Eminem would escalate the conflict further by stating, "If I could go back in time, I'd probably go back to the day I was born and kill my mother as soon as she had me," also releasing another brutal song titled Cleaning Out My Closet, in which Eminem can be seen digging a grave for his mother in the music video, whilst rapping lyrics such as, "Look at me now, I bet you're probably sick of me now. Ain't you mama, I'ma make you look ridiculous now." However, while this was the approach taken by Eminem publicly, his mother explained that behind the scenes, he was on the phone begging her to end the conflict, having stated, "All I want for my birthday, for Father's Day, for Christmas, for all the other holidays, is for you to drop the lawsuit," and it seemed like after this phone call, Debbie was potentially going to drop the case. She'd publicly admit that, "I didn't mean to sue my son for defamation. I just wanted to stop my home being repossessed and clear up the financial problems that had been caused," yet under the advice of her lawyer, who stated that the suit would be a good way to give Marshall a wake-up call, Debbie continued the case until it would finally come to settle on the 8th of August 2001. 2 full years had passed since Debbie initially launched the lawsuit against her son, and given how much pain had been experienced during this period, Debbie was likely expecting a pretty impressive payout, although this isn't what would happen. Eminem was ordered to pay his mother a measly $25,000, which becomes even funnier when you come to discover that in the process, Debbie Mathers was charged $23,354 in legal fees, meaning that when all was said and done, Eminem's mum kept only $1,646. Debbie Mather's lawyer stated that she was the most high-maintenance client I've had in my legal career, and that the $25,000 settlement was a far cry to the time I dedicated to her personally and to the legal action. Following the suit, Eminem and his mother wouldn't speak to each other for years.
We don't really speak. When was the last time you talked? It's probably been a couple of years, probably about 3, maybe 4 years, something like that.
In an interview from 2010, Marshall stated that he didn't even know where his mum was living and that it'd be very hard to repair that relationship. However, in 2014, Eminem released the song Headlights as an apology to Debbie, explaining that he was sorry for all the things he had said about her in the past.
At first I was like, why would you make a song about, like, apologizing? And it's like, well, that's on growth. And that took a long time. And that's kind of how that shit works.
Eminem now is not the same Eminem that existed back in the day. He has even said, like, that he had to relearn how to rap. He had to reformulate who he is as a person because he had so many overdoses. Like in the one where they found him in the parking lot of McDonald's overdosed on Tylenol PMs. It fucked him up. He was fucked up for years. It took him years to learn how to rap again, to get back into... So Eminem, like, didn't just fall off for like a 3-year period and then just sit there and be like, maybe I don't know about this rap shit. He, like, nearly died.
Yeah.
Overdosed is not... People have this weird thing about, like, thinking overdoses are just when people get super high. Like, you die. Like, overdose is when you're fucking dying from taking too many drugs.
Yeah.
So I know people who have overdosed and who have come back from that situation, and it's like they were in some major car wreck or they were in some huge
just, like,
traumatic
not the
brain
same.
injury type situation. Yeah, I mean, you get fucked up. And so the Eminem that we have now is like Eminem reincarnated back into himself. Like, obviously he's super skilled, super talented, but that's why if you look back on his earlier shit before that happened, it's raw as fuck, and it's just like, all this shit's happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm mad as hell to the point where I don't even care anymore. I'll make a joke out of myself and everybody else in the process. And now it's like super calculated, super, you know, on point with the syllables and the fucking just like the art of rapping.
Right.
And it's not so raw and just straight up emotional.
It's not just like telling his story. It's like he's actually doing work to
He went
make
from
the songs.
Wolverine in a cage just mauling motherfuckers to like tactical Navy SEAL, like precision.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, because he was just this cyclone of emotion before. Because you took literally somebody off of the fucking streets that was starving to death working at a factory, and now they're the biggest rapper in the world.
Oh, he worked at a factory?
Yeah, well, he on and off, like, he complains about, like, being laid off from the factory job to have to work at fucking fast food restaurants and as a cashier somewhere, and, like, hoping and praying he could get back into the factory job so he could have a house to live in instead of his car.
Yeah.
And he had a daughter at the time, too. And, like, you know, that shit... That kind of music is like the shit that makes a connection with millions and millions of people, and turns you into somebody like Eminem. But then you get that platform and then you become the tactician that he is, and it's just like super impressive, which was in him all along. It was just overshadowed by the fact that he had all of this personal shit that he had to get off his chest. And in my opinion, that's what separates an artist. Is like, there's people who are great songwriters. They can structure songs. They know music theory. And everything is just clean and it's crisp and it's fucking wonderful. Then you have somebody like Kurt Cobain, who played the simplest shit. It was rough, it was raw, but it was like so
real.
Emotional and so real. And even though it was kind of like nursery rhyme style writing a song, and everybody gets bored playing it, all these people are such incredible musicians.
But it doesn't really matter.
But it was so personal, you know. So this shit about his mom, I have a hard time believing that he just made everything up, because there are also just as many people who talk about, like, he has a song where he talks about a bully beating him up in the bathroom, and he names the person that it was. That person sued him and lost horribly.
They lost?
Yeah, because they did that to him. Like,
So
he
it's
did
not
have a brain
defamation of character
injury
because
from
it was ugly.
having his head bounced off of a fucking urinal, you know, and head shoved in a urinal and shit. And so that guy sued him and lost terribly because
Good.
it was true. Like,
Why would you? Yeah.
He really did get bullied and picked on by this kid.
I just think it's weird how maybe his stepbrother, his younger brother, or whatever,
Half-brother or whatever,
half brother, I think is what they said, half brother,
Yeah.
and maybe cousin. I don't remember.
And his grandmother.
We're all just like, that's not true.
Well, here's the thing.
But maybe
Here's
they're
the thing.
similar to his mom.
You don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Right.
Like, there's plenty of people that I have known personally who I've been like, oh, they're great. Their relationship is great. That's all good. And then I find out, and I'm around them a lot, and then I find out, oh, he's cheating on her, or they're abusive, or whatever. And it's just like, damn, dude, you don't know what his mom was doing.
Right.
You know, and I can tell just by looking at her that, you know,
I'm not going to say anything.
yeah, there's been some caps popped off of some stuff or
Yeah, I think.
going on. I mean, it was pretty easy to tell by how she was talking and stuff like that. But, and you don't just go out there and stick to it
Okay.
without that being true.
Regardless of, like, you know, we're never going to know. Regardless of all that. What we do know is that not only was she like, one, I'm going to sue my son.
Right.
Which neither one of my parents. I mean, everybody's parents have their faults. Mine do too.
It would take a lot.
I mean, unless I was literally like forcing them to, my parents would never do anything like that. So
Never.
I count myself lucky for that.
Yeah.
She sued her son.
Mm-hmm.
She made a diss track.
Oh, I've
I
listened
didn't
to it.
know that.
I've heard it, and it's so bad.
And then
It's
she
so
made
dated.
a book. And it's like, okay, I mean, you're trying to get money. We know this.
You go back and you listen to Eminem's early music. I'm infinite. Part of hell while I was sent from it. Went to it. You know, just like really sick rhymes. The beats sound good. Everything's so good. It's not dated at all.
Mm-hmm.
You go back and listen to that shit that she did, and it's like, oh God, this is early 90s.
You know what? That can be a Patreon exclusive thing. Is that I
Yeah,
have
react
to
to that song. It is so fucking
Is it just
bad.
a song?
It's just like these two other rappers being like, you should have known better than to do this to your mother and all this stuff. And then she's just like,
so it's like
comes in and does the hook, and it's like,
so she's not even doing it the whole time.
You heard how she
I
sounded.
don't think I want to listen
Yeah,
to it.
no,
I don't know.
it's-
I don't think I want to listen to it.
It's nails on the chalkboard. Yeah. But anyway, Sunny V2 bringing you another awesome video. This one's pretty quick, sweet,
Yeah.
to the point. Just straight throwing the information out there. He's gotten so much cleaner. Like, his videos have gotten so much
Sunny
hotter.
V2.
Yeah, because he's been at it for a few years now, and you look at his earlier stuff, and it's much more rough, and it's just cool to see how the progress of somebody over the years. So good on him.
Don't go back and watch our first video together.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's Internet Historian, I think, was our first video.
I think so, yeah.
But if you didn't know, we're live right now. We go live every Thursday at 2 p.m. and do reactions exclusively on Twitch. And if you want to be a part of that, you can go down in the description and follow us on Twitch and hang out 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. Remember that. Write it down.
Yeah.
Tattoo it on your forehead.
We
Don't
also
forget.
go live every Monday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just to have fun, play games. Sometimes we bake, sometimes we make crafts. We're just shooting the shit. So if you want to join in, just follow along.
Yes, and we're live right now. So shout out to Aquafinussy Connoisseur, Nuclear Winner, Fred, Dr. Dale, and some of the other homies that have been hanging out during this stream. You could be one of those people if you tune in with us. But, you know, if you want to give us some likes, a subscription, or maybe you could even recommend a video for us to react to in the future.
Yeah, you can do that down in the comments below. You can do that on our Discord, or if you are a patron on our Patreon, you can leave it there.
Yeah, but we appreciate you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.
Guys.